Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Meaning Makers podcast. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who has really ever listened to the podcast. After the previous episode, we hit 200 plays, which is a very big milestone. 100 came very slowly, and 200 actually came pretty quickly. And so if you like the Meaning Makers podcast, I would encourage you to share it with your friends and family and anyone you think that the information that I share and that I talk about, or even the conversations that I have with other people, if you think that anyone else would find them helpful or find them inspiring, please go ahead and share that with them. So thank you again for allowing us to hit 200 plays. I'm hoping that 1,000 is right around the corner, and so on and so forth. Being a therapist the last 5 years has been an honor for me to sit with other humans who open up about their struggles and seek guidance and intervention on how to better their lives. It is something I do not take for granted, and I thank each one of my clients for trusting me in their journey of growth and discovery. This episode is not really about those clients. This episode is about a mainstream narrative that we as society have adopted. One that after 5 years of study, practice, and research, I feel is doing more harm than good. I want to preface that these are my own opinions, and I'm happy to have open dialogue with any other opinions or comments that may come my way. Being in the weeds like I have, you see the good and the bad of psychology. The good being the thing I mentioned in my intro, being able to help other people grow and really overcome their struggles in community and in relationship with another person. And the bad really being the way that we as a society as a whole have adopted ways of thinking, moving, and believing because of psychology. Now, this episode will be one of a few that I will have where I'm going to discuss the impact of psychology and how the mainstream narrative may not be helping us really all that much after all. Today, I want to identify 3 gaps that I see in the human condition, in the human behavior, that cause many of the issues you or someone you may know face. I will hit these gaps in reverse order of their actual sequencing because I want us to follow the trail back to the most crucial piece of who we are. The first of those gaps is the action to consequence gap. Physics tells us that for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. It seems in society we have missed that second part. There are plenty of fingers pointed at whose fault the lack of accountability or consequences is, but the reality is we are all responsible for ourselves, our choices, and our reactions to the experiences and to the world that we find ourselves in. If you eat too much food over a long period of time, you will gain fat. If you sit for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you don't exercise, your body will begin to ache and your muscles will begin to deteriorate. Our actions have consequences, and those consequences are not trivial. We can rationally play out what will happen in 99% of the actions that we take. Action determines input, input determines output. When we think about this idea of meaning making, what this whole podcast is about, our actions solely define how much meaning we can make. What we do converts into what we did. Meaning can only be found in the realization of the present and the reflection of the past. It cannot be found in the fantasizing of the future. Shorten the gap between actions that will create a meaningful life versus those that don't. In today's day and age, we all know that our physical health is extremely important. A recent study from Stanford even confirmed that physical activity is the #1 best way to improve mental health and overall happiness. If you are looking to take your physical health journey to the next level, I've teamed up with Kinobody.com, that is KINOBODY.com, to give you 15% off your entire order if you use the code Keegan65978. Personally, I started my Kinobody journey in 2017, and the first 3 months on one of Greg's programs, I lost 50 pounds and gained about 10 pounds of muscle through dedication and commitment. Since then, I've used Kinobody supplements and the plans to get the body that I want and feel great while doing it. You can choose the newest Mojo Mastery program or check out all of the highly tested, highly recommended supplements they offer. Again, use the code Keegan65978. Also, everything is linked in the description below if you want an ease of just clicking a link and inserting a discount code. You'll get 50% off your first order, and I'm really excited to see where your health journey goes. The second gap is the feelings to action gap. So the first gap was action to consequences. Now we have our feelings to action gap. This one is huge in the therapy and counseling world, right? When we see it displayed in movies, when you go to a therapy session, you say the word I feel, or we hear the word I feel, fill in the blank. Feelings are real and feelings matter, but feelings have never been a good indicator of decision making. And yet in society, we see feelings being the almost sole indicator of decisions being made by a lot of people. Now, there have been times where I've had a gut feeling, or people I know have had a gut feeling about a situation or a person, and it turned out to be right. But that isn't the type of feeling that I'm talking about. Using your level of depression, anxiety, stress, or even happiness for that matter as a barometer for decision making can lead to a lot more of the same feeling. Think of these feelings as organisms trying to survive within you. They want to multiply and thrive. Depression doesn't tell you what to do to get rid of itself. If it did, it wouldn't thrive and no one would ever be depressed. Anxiety is the same way. These feelings typically guide us into areas where that feeling will be able to take root and be amplified. Depression breeds laziness and lack of motivation. Anxiety breeds antisocial behavior or a lack of confidence. It is when we add an action stimulus that these feelings are disrupted. As a therapist, I've noticed that the feelings oriented living has taken the place of the reason oriented living. In some cases, this is not horrible, right? Love is based on feelings. However, if you take it all the way to marriage, to choose a marriage partner, you ought to have some reasoning there. Far too often, the feelings are taking precedent, which I believe is a big indicator as to why divorce rates are so high. Feelings are a great meter to know how we're doing. Think of them as our soul's car dashboard, lighting up the areas we may need to address, but we can't change the oil without action from ourselves or from the help of other people. Shorten the gap between decisions you make with feelings and the actions you take with reason. One reasonable step a lot of people make is they want to start a business or take their business to the next level. And if you've ever wanted to do that, then ClickFunnels is the software for you. With ClickFunnels, you can easily build any type of online business or sales funnel, no matter what your product, service, or niche is. You don't need any tech, design, or experience whatsoever. And with their new AI funnel builder, it's as easy as a few clicks and you have a fully functioning funnel waiting to take your business to new heights. I partnered with ClickFunnels to provide you with a 14-day free trial of their ClickFunnels 2.0 software. If you don't find value in it after 14 days, you can cancel without paying a dime. I personally use ClickFunnels and find it to be the best software for taking my clients and customers through a journey that gets them excited about what they have to offer. I personally use ClickFunnels and find it to be the best software for taking your clients and customers through a journey that gets them excited about what you have to offer. If you want to tell a better story and close more clients, give ClickFunnels a try. There's a link below that will take you to the exact place that you can sign up for that 14-day free trial. As well as with the trial, you'll get a lot of courses and videos to show you how to use it. The third and final gap I'll talk about is the spiritual to feelings gap. The mind has long been studied as an internal mechanism apart from the brain. The ancient Greek philosophers such as Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, etc., spent their whole lives thinking about the mind. And some of them coined this term as the soul. And they said the soul and the mind are really one. I tend to lean into the mind and soul being one as well. The gap I want to address here is really a metaphysical one. If you aren't familiar with that word, metaphysical simply means above the physical plane of reality. It feels outside of something we can grasp physically. I believe we are soul-carrying beings, and that soul is intertwined in our bodies, and that each of us has a soul that drives us. It makes us unique in our thoughts and our feelings, and I attribute souls to the same idea as mindset. It's something beyond our physical that drives us in how we move and respond to the world. The gap we have here is an external to internal gap. We allow the external to invade our internal and disrupt our peace and our mindset. Our feelings, quote unquote, about a person, place, or thing creates an unsteady soul. Eyes are the windows to your soul. Everything you listen to and hear matters. And that is so true. Because what we're actually listening to, what we're actually seeing, and what we're actually doing ultimately is having an impact on our internal. There's a reason why meditation has been around for thousands of years. because it calms our internal. It calms our souls and dispels the external stimulus, robbing us of a steady peace. Many of my clients have raced to immediately validate a feeling they feel before even thinking about how it is impacting their internal. Here, I want to make sure that I mention the nuance between I am and I am feeling. I've had many clients and many people in general come up to me or talk to me about how they say, I am depressed, I am anxious, I am lazy, I am slothful, I am prideful. And I want to make it clear that just because you're feeling something doesn't mean that's who you are. I am is an identity statement. I am feeling is a temporary state. These are two very important distinctions because one allows the room for change. The other is a stamp of identity that is very hard to clean off. And here we want to make sure that we're not just validating the feeling as this is who I am, but that a feeling is this thing that's, again, lighting up the dashboard of our soul to say there's something here that we need to check out. Neurobiologically, we can see how the brain changes from months and years of this internal stress. When we continue to say we're depressed, when we continue to believe we're anxious, when we continue to believe that we're in a place that we don't need to be in, that belief turns into literal imprints on our brain structure. And I believe that turns into imprints in our souls. The same thing happens there too. Our quote, steady state becomes one of anxiousness or slothfulness or pride, and it ceases to be one of peace and joy as I believe we were designed to be. So here we need to shorten the gap between allowing feelings to fester inside of us and take the time to sort out whether it's worth the stress. Not everything is as bad as it seems or as good as it seems, but what you focus on is what it seems to you. People can be happy in the worst of times and sad in the best of times. Perception is just a lens we put on when we're trying to make sense of the world. How are you going to perceive today? There are real mental struggles. There are real physical feelings that you feel. But through persistent effort and communal support, you can change any of those how you see fit. But there are very real gaps out there that we as individuals need to recognize, and as a society, close those gaps if we want to have a chance at living meaningful lives. If you guys have any thoughts or comments about this episode, please comment below, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, or on Spotify. Again, I thank you so much for listening. Hitting 200 was such a big deal to me, and I'm so excited to hit 300 and 400 and so on. 1,000 is my next goal, and again, the more plays that we get, the more followers that I get, the more listens I get, the better guests that we can have on, and frankly, just the more excited that I am about this. I'm already at 100%, but I can't believe I'd be more excited than I would. But the more people that listen, it just gets me motivated and gets me back to the table to make sure that I'm providing some value to you guys, as well as making sure I'm doing my research and doing it right. So I thank you guys for listening to the Meaning Makers podcast. The new rhythm of the Meaning Makers will be 2 episodes a week. And as always, you guys only get one life, so you might as well make some meaning with it. I'll see you guys next time.